Number one. Brake on. Morning, folks. How are we all this morning? I hope I find you all well. Welcome aboard. I'm actually almost in time for a change. God, it's warm today. Again. Morning, Elizabeth. P. Gates. Nice to have you on board for Germany. I hope you weren't affected by the floods, my friend. Get a wee munch. At my hash brown before we start. Here we go. Morning, Mary, Lenny, Karen, Luke, Jackie. Hi, Tricia. Hi, Paul, Stephen, John, Janice, Alexander, Mary. Hi, Jim, Lynn. Numbers are climbing nicely. Alright, I'll just finish this off and we'll get moving, alright? We're almost at the 100 mark. Morning, Stuart. Morning, Gina. Morning, Carol. Good morning, brother. How are you this morning? Nice to have my brother watching. He does most of the time right enough. He'll be criticising me tonight, as he always does on a Wednesday night when he gets to the Zoom meeting time. Tell me off and tell me what I'm doing wrong. But that's what brothers are for. Alright, let's shut this window up open. It's a bit noisy here. So let's get this show on the road. And we'll start as we always do with the coronavirus update, but first let me tell you where I am and what the temperature is. Okay, it's Indy Truck Davy in the truck. Coming to you today from Montefief, where I am outside Dobies, where I'll be making a collection shortly. It is 21 degrees and overcast. Geez, oh, it's warm. So, there you have it. Now, that's the weather forecast for basically the Dundee postcode area at this point in time, but apparently it's going to burn off and be wonderful. I'll tell you what, it's sweltering as it is, kids. Right, anyway, let's get underway. Seems to be a fair few years on board. So we'll start with the coronavirus update. These are the figures for yesterday, the 20th of the 7th, 2021. Tested in Scotland since the pandemic reached our shores, 2,399,521, and that was plus 4,819 new individuals tested. There was actually nigh on 19,000 people tested, but that's a different matter. Tested positive, there was 32,455 people tested positive since the pandemic reached our shores, and that's an increase of 1,604 from Monday to Tuesday. In hospital, there are 529 COVID patients, and that's down 7, of which 47 are in the intensive care, and that's up 2. Vaccinated, there have been 3,984,433 people in Scotland have had at least one dose of the vaccine. An increase of, wait for this kids, this isn't good, 2,483 people receiving the first jags, from Monday to Tuesday. Alright. Of that 3,984,433, 2,995,086 have had both Jags, an increase of 16,340 from Monday to Tuesday, and that equates to 67.3% of all adults in Scotland having had both injections. Alright, deaths. Not good, kids. It's a sore one. The daily death toll, or the hospital death toll as I call it, now stands at 7,813, and that was plus 13 from Monday to Tuesday. But you've got to remember the registered offices were shut over the weekend, so that those deaths were probably spread over the weekend and registered Monday/Tuesday. Or sorry, registered on Tuesday anyway. Right, community and hospital deaths combined, and that stands at 10,220. We should get an update for the First Minister. I don't know if she's doing a briefing today, but we'll get an update for the National Records of Scotland today, and I expect that to jump by at least 30 plus, alright? So right, let's move on to the news review. Okay, Tuesday started with two main themes in the rags: trains and vaccines, right? LNER said they would ignore Scots law and operate its cross-border trains on English law. Now that didn't last long. LNER will comply with Scots law when its trains enter Scotland. The other main theme was the slowdown in the vaccine rollout of 18 to 30-year-olds. And they're just not going to the vaccine centres. But we spoke about this yesterday as well, folks. The young men are the worst, with 56% of 18 to 30-year-olds still no registered or gone for their Jags. Now, as I said yesterday, we as the responsible adults in their lives, although they are big kids, are going to have to take them by the hand and lead them to the vaccination centres. And if that means bribing them with lollipops, then that's what you're going to have to do. But don't do what Sarah does. Make sure you buy the lollipop when you're bribing the kids. Right, let's move on. Right, Tuesday, Gibraltar takes front and centre in the EU-UK post-Brexit arguments. Alright, Gibraltar is negotiating a separate deal to mainland UK. The disagreement seems to be over border controls between Gibraltar and Spain. The EU has issued a draft proposal to have Spain operate the border instead of the Frontex, which is the EU External Border Agency. Right, Frontex, that's who they are. Right. Now, UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said this was not acceptable, as it gave Spain, who disputes UK sovereignty over the rock, too much control. Gibraltar Chief Minister Fabian Picardo agrees the joint deal approach, but it seems that the Foreign Office is about to step in and overrule the First Minister. They call him the Chief Minister in Gibraltar, no the First Minister, alright? So there's going to be trouble ahead. The EU said the deal would keep Gibraltar and Spain's border open for people and goods, but it would appear that because it's going to be Spanish members of Frontex who are operating the border, because you've got to remember, all the border agencies within the EU all come under the Frontex banner. So it would appear that because the Spanish border controls officials are going to run the border, that the UK government's not happy. So there could be problems for Gibraltar with Spain. And if the rock gets cut off, then we're going to have to feed them with airdrops. Unbelievable. Right, let's move on. Tuesday, down that road, chaos rules supreme after Business Minister Paul Scully appeared to imply it was up to individuals to make informed decisions on whether to self-isolate or not when pinged by the Circle Track and Trace app. Number 10 had to step in to tell people they must self-isolate if pinged. Business leaders in England have stated that people self-isolating could derail the economic recovery, especially as scientists have remodelled the amount of possible people who could come down, daily figures of people who could come down with COVID in England. Now, the new models show that it could get up to 200,000 new infections a day down that road. Now, let's say the average person in infection in the course of their day has come into contact with another 8 people, right? That's going to be 60. That's going to be 1,600, 160,000 people out of the workforce at any one time. And in fact, it could be multiples if it's 200,000 a day. You know, 800,000 people a day, 1,600, 1,600,000 2 days. By the end of the month, it could be everybody back in lockdown, whether they like it or no. The figures are mind-boggling. I'm no mathematician, but Jesus Christ, I mean, they're modelling for up to 200,000 new infection rates a day. Right, that's unbelievable. The app will go into meltdown as it tries to ping every bugger that's came in contact with somebody that's had COVID. Unbloody believable. Anyway, Bojo had to step in, right? So this could see millions of people having to self-isolate at any one time. So much for England's Freedom Day. The Petri dish has been opened, and it's expected that the shit will hit the fan, spraying infections far and wide, and opening up the possibility of new variants. You know, there's a Davy says here. Davy says, stupid is as stupid does. But let's face it, they Muppets down there voted for stupid, so they got stupid. What was it Gandhi said? If stupid people vote for vote for stupid politicians, then they get the leadership they deserve. No disrespect to my friends and family in England, but let's face it, if you're going to vote Tory, then you're going to get what you're due. Oh, unbloody believable. Right, let's move on. Tuesday, NHS staff pay rise petition in England set up by the public after the Tory government in England's offered NHS England staff only a measly 1% pay rise after the monumental efforts that they made fighting the virus. You know, so there was a petition set up down that road to pressure the government to pay them more. Right, now the petition down that road has now reached 800,000 signatures, and it appears to be working. It's putting pressure onto Bojo and his government, and it now appears that Bojo is willing to come back to the table and offer them 3%. So we'll just need to see where that goes. But even at that 3%, what's inflation running at now? About 2%, and they've had years and years and years of a wage freeze. So that 3% is not even going to cover what they've lost through the years, and it's not going to bring them anywhere near up to a living standard where they are actually able to meet their responsibilities, their bills, feeding their kids, their mortgages, their, keeping their cars on the road, transport costs to get work and that push. I mean, this is outrageous. I mean, these people have put their lives on the line. Many of them have died. I meant to look the stats up last night on how many's died doing that road in the health and social care. And health and social care, but I never got round to it. But a 3% pay rise is outrageous. I mean, we'll get this, the NHS Scotland up here offering 4%, but even they're no happy with that. Unfortunately, Scotland has a fixed budget, but Westminster has the UK Central Bank at its disposal, and it can print money to pay them more. And let's face it, the more you give the people, the more they spend into the economy booms. This idea of austerity is bloody stupid, never worked. So anyway, it looks like pressure for this petition is working, because it's looking like Bojo is coming back round the table to offer 3%. Alright. Hey, let's move back here to Scotland. Tuesday, back here in Scotland, lunchtime rolls round and the First Minister gives a COVID briefing and an update. There were 4 main themes in the briefing, right? A plea to 18 to 30-year-olds to get vaccinated. The GCVI, or the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisations, decision not to vaccinate all 12 to 18-year-olds. Trains and a vaccine passport. So we'll go through them. The first one's quite self-explanatory. the First Minister wants 18 and 30 to 30-year-olds to step up and get the vaccine. And what she said was that everyone that gets the vaccine helps, and everyone that doesn't is part of the problem. Okay, that's paraphrasing, of course, alright. Now, the First Minister wasn't chuffed with the Joint Committee on Vaccinations and Immunisations decision not to vaccinate 12 to 18-year-olds, and she's writing to them to ask them to keep it on the table and keep assessing the information coming in from other nations who are vaccinating 12 to 18-year-olds, because the First Minister, I think, believes that we should be vaccinating 12 to 18-year-olds. Okay, now as to trains, well, this goes back to the London North East Railway story, and Arbelio, believe it or not, they said, Avanti, they said that they were going to operate under English laws and cross-border trains as well, but as we know, LNER backtracked on that. Avanti will backtrack on it and all, but their argument is that trains are no premises, so they don't have to have the 1 metre social distancing or masks. So the First Minister is going to ask our legal team to look at it, and if need be, they're going to tighten the law to ensure that there's social distancing in trains in Scotland, and that cross-border operators will comply, or they'll find their bahookies in the Court of Session, where the Scottish Government will sue them for a lot of money. Alright, and the other one was vaccine passports. You know, I've said this before, vaccine passports are for international travel only. If you have to have a vaccine passport to go to the garden centre, to go to the cinema, to go to the pub, to go to the theatre, to go to your football game, then there's a large swathe of society that isn't going to be able to attend these venues, especially those who cannot be vaccinated for medical reasons. And as far as I'm concerned, that starts us on the slippery slope of a tiered society, where those who have and can be vaccinated have open access and freedom to do as they did before, whereas those who are not getting vaccinated for philosophical reasons, medical reasons, any reason whatsoever, would be excluded for society. And Davy isn't keen on that idea. I think vaccine passports should be for international travel only. Alright, so that covers what Davy thinks of vaccine passports. Of course, you are entitled to your own opinions on these things. Drop them in the comments. I read the comments when I get in the evening on my other timeline, because it's easier to read on the computer screen. Alright, okay, let's move on. Tuesday, the Scottish Retail Consortium reports retail sales are nearly back to pre-pandemic levels. And that's the headline. But when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, another bloody well know. Right? Retail sales are 3% lower than they were in June 2019. Food sales are up on June 2019 by 2.3%. And non-food goods are down 10% across the board. So where the Scottish Retail Consortium got the idea that things are nearly back to pre-pandemic sales levels, I have absolutely no idea, because this was their report that these figures came from. It's an improvement, but it's definitely nowhere near back to where it was pre-pandemic. So the headline of the report was absolute mince. Alright. Right, Tuesday, the Nationalities and Borders Bill had its second reading, or it's having its second reading in Westminster. It's going to be debated all week, alright. Amendments were laid and rejected, and the 6th debate. The bill will breach the UK's international obligations and international law. It will then go back to the Lords, who will try and amend it because of the parts which will breach international obligations and international law. But like the opposition parties, whatever the Lords they amend it, it'll be booted out the door and it will pass as is. Because as we know, the UK Tory government are a bunch of xenophobes. They're racists. And We'll get a wee bit more of that when we get to the paper review. Okay, right. Tuesday evening rolls around. Now, I didn't watch this, but I'm sure a lot of you people did watch it. And Dominic Cummings' interview with Laura Kuenssberg is aired on BBC Two. Now, I had a discussion with somebody about this last night. It was Linda Ellard, and she said Cummings came across as an absolute psycho. That doesn't surprise me. But anyway, let's have a look at the big things in the report, apparently. Apparently, a couple of weeks after Bojo won his landslide in 2019, and it was announced that Carrie Simons, new Bojo's wife, so Carrie Johnson, was pregnant, his cabinet and his special advisor were plotting to get shot of him. But it would appear they were plotting to get shot of him because a lot of their jackets were on a sugar-loaf peg. Alright, now the other revelations in the interview we already knew about, like Bojo no wanting to get into lockdown number 2 because it was mainly 80-year-olds and over that were dying. And of course, the pile of bodies high when it came to lockdown number 3. I wonder what he's going to say when he finds out he's going to have to get into lockdown number 4. That should be absolutely hilarious. So, Bojo is no chuffed, and he's not going to be chuffed when the special advisor is putting the boot out, his ex-special advisor is putting the boot into him as often and as fast as he bloody well can. And eventually some of this muck is going to stick. I think that might be one of the reasons why it was aired on the BBC, because I think that people are starting to angle to get rid of Bojo, because people know exactly what's going to happen with his Freedom Day and you open it up. Bojo knows it was a mistake. That's why he took to the TV screens instead of giving a bombastic Churchillian speech to say that the vaccines had defeated the virus, to tell people to be careful. Right? So it was probably aired in the BBC for the maximum amount of people to see it, because, as I said yesterday, people are going to turn on this Tory government. When the vaccine rollout's done and they get a chance to think about what's been on over the last 18 months, best part of 18 months, they're going to reflect on it and they're going to start to realise, hold on a minute, how come we haven't the same total in Iceland, a rock in the middle of the sea? We haven't the same totals in New Zealand, a rock in the middle of the sea, Australia, a rock in the middle of the sea. You know, and they're going to start to look at it and they're going to start saying, he murdered my granny. That reckoning is coming. I think Bojo knows it, and I think the BBC know it now and all. So we're going to get less and less of the BBC covering Bojo's bahookie. And a sure sign of that is that his friend, Laura Kuenssberg, the BBC's top Tory political editor, was the one that conducted the interview with Mr. Cummings, with wee caveats saying he's unreliable, but that's not what's going on there. What's going on there is they're prepping for Bojo getting his bahookie booted out the chair. Alright, let's move on. Tuesday. We're back in Northern Ireland. Right, on Tuesday, Northern Ireland, all the parties in Stormont unite to reject the UK government's Northern Ireland Legacy Bill. The bill proposes to end convictions for atrocities during the Troubles. Northern Ireland Secretary Brandon Lewis was at Stormont for the talks. Needless to say, he didn't get an easy time yet, and rightly so. As I stated this before, there are about 36 cases pending, and 20 of them are against the British state. This bill is being brought in so that the shenanigans that were pulled by the British state during the Troubles don't come to light. I think everybody in Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland actually agree on that, and all 5 parties in Stormont agree on that. And if Fiona's there, she can drop a wee note there, because she's our Northern Ireland correspondent, to tell us if the people in Northern Ireland agree with that. I think they all do. Okay. So, you know, this hasn't went well in Northern Ireland. with all 5 parties in Stormont uniting to condemn this legislation. They want justice to be seen. It has to be seen to be done. I've said this before. In order for people in Northern Ireland to have trust in the police and justice system in Northern Ireland. But hey, let's have a wee look. The UK government's behaviour and blatant disregard for the will of the people and political parties in Northern Ireland is no going down well. So far, Northern Ireland has been ignored on Brexit, on abortion law, and on the legacy issues. And they're stoking the fire out there. That isn't going to go well. Alright, now the arrogance of the English political classes is no sitting well with the Northern Irish public or the politicians. And that isn't going well. That isn't going to sit well with them. But on the other side of it, you know, they're being shoved out the door, actually, and this could all be being done to speed up the process. You know, as we spoke about yesterday, when I said I'd met a young fella who was from Northern Ireland, we were discussing these issues, and he reckons unification will be sometime in the next decade. This could all be being done to speed the whole thing up. Alright, now let's move on. Yesterday, in the House of Commons, there was a win for WASPy women. Alright, a victory against the Department of Work and Pensions, as the Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman finds the DUP guilty of maladministration over informing the WASPy women of changes in the 1995 Pension Act. So there may well be some hope that the women that have been deprived up to £44,000 to £48,000 of state pension they were due may well get the state pension they were due, or at least an amount in compensation. It's a step forward. And we're all behind the WASPy women because they've paid their dues. It's their money. Pensions are not a bloody benefit the way that these spanners down that road have rebanded them a benefit. No, we paid into a national insurance policy. Get that into your head. National insurance policy. I have got a private pension policy. I've got a private life insurance policy. We all have policies. And the national insurance had a pension section in its policy, and we all paid into it. It's an insurance system. It provides health care and pensions. It's not a bloody benefit like they Bampot Tories down that road are claiming. And that money belongs to the women. They paid their dues, they're due their money. And let's hope that decision yesterday gets them that one step closer to getting what they were bloody well due. It's an injustice that needs righted. And the Ombudsman finding the DUP guilty of maladministration is a major victory and a step forward in their claim for their pension, or at least in a claim for compensation for misinformation or something like that. I don't know what the grounds for the compensation would be, but it's an advancement. Alright. Okay, where are we? Oh, we're nearly there. Let's move on to the paper review. Anybody want to join me today for the paper review? Press the button now so that I can see it on my phone. And while you do that, I'll get a wee sip of my coffee, which after 29 minutes of Davy ranting a wee bit has gone cold. No, anybody want to join me for a paper review this morning? Ah well, there's my popularity's waning right enough, huh? I'll keep a wee eye out for a light coming on as we start. Alright, let's move on to paper review. The Telegraph goes on. Sturgeon's Freedom Day may be delayed. What Freedom Day? Did somebody call a referendum while I wasn't looking? We're talking about the lifting the restrictions here. We're not talking about freedom. Freedom is when we break free for that shower of shite down that road. This is just a lifting of COVID restrictions. Freedom Day, my arse. Right, the Daily Fuel goes on. Young Scots must get jab. Tell us something we don't know. But you know what? It's a fundamental human right to deny treatment. It's a fundamental human right to tell you to no want to. Oh Christ, what's the word I'm looking for? To not accept treatment. It's up to you what you put in your body. You're not going to get Davy telling you have to go. We would much rather you do go to help protect people, but I'm not going to tell you you have to go. Right, it's been all guys so far, so let's even get Bernadette Campbell on. Right, Bernadette, we can get you on this morning. If no, we'll go back to the other person that's wanting to go on. So when it comes to the vaccine, right, the kids needing the vaccine, we all agree the kids should get vaccinated, but it's up to them. It's their right to decide, human right to decide whether they want to be vaccinated or not. I know I'm encouraging us as their elders to talk to them and talk them round to getting vaccines, but it's their choice. If bribing them with a lollipop doesn't work, you have no chance. You could try upping the ante to a pint, but hey, I think the lollipop stands the best chance if they're anything like Davy. And that's why Lorna and Neil got me a bag of lollipops in case I have to go and get a booster jag. Because that evil dragon didn't buy me my lolly when I went for my jag. Aye. Right, it would appear that Bernadette's no making it on, so let's try adding Alexander. Right, Alexander, let's see if you can make it in for a chat. All right, where were we? The eye goes on. Vaccination hesitation threat to 9th of August.
Morning, Dave. Morning, Freedom Fighters. How's it going?
No bad, Alexander. How are you? Where are you?
Peterhead. Cloudy Peterhead.
Aye. A wee bit of Doric this morning then, eh?
Oh, you'll get a lot of that.
Aye, that's bro. It's time people hear the dialects that I've got to put up with as I run around the country.
Aye, and the dialects are good for the country.
Aye, name. Aye, you're absolutely right. Okay, what do you think the big news story yesterday was, Alexander?
Well, I've got a history regarding medical confrontation. When they brought in the 3 drugs to the 3-in-1, I got told I was stupid asking questions about it.
My wife, the MMR jag, I remember it.
The medical slagged me off for asking a question. When the wife had a cesarean, I got asked about the blood that she got, and lo and behold, what we got? Blood treatment. I didn't, myself personally, I didn't trust. I second question any medical decision that's made. And
that's how you learn.
Yeah, and I've had complaints on it, Grampian Health Board, for over 40 years, and I've yet to be invited to sit at the opposite side of a desk to get someone to ask questions. The system's wrong, needs changed.
It's a matter for the Parliament, so take it up with the Parliament, Alexander, but in the meantime, let's get back to current affairs. What was the big story in the news for you yesterday?
To be honest, I didn't read papers, so I get my information from Alexa, people like you. The big story was, to me, that I've been able to pick on is this second reading of the inhumane law that they're about to pass.
Aye, the border, the nationalities in Borders Bill. The very nationalities tells you it's a bloody xenophobic piece of legislation. You can. Right, we're on the paper review. So far we've covered the Telegraph. Sturgeon's Freedom Day may be delayed, and it's not a Freedom Day, of course, it's just lifting restrictions. The Daily Fields went on, young Scots must get the jab, and we've discussed, no, they don't have to get it. It's a fundamental choice for them to make. It's up to them what they put in their body, and it's up to us as their parents, if we want them to get the jag, to encourage them to go and get it. And if we don't want them to get the jag, then to keep our bloody nose out. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, yeah, we've covered the eye where it says vaccination hesitation threat to 9th of August. Notice that the eye doesn't call it Freedom Day, Alexander, because the First Minister stated in a press conference that she doesn't like the idea of this being called Freedom Day because it fundamentally means something different to you and I than what it does to these poxy English newspapers.
Yeah.
You know.
I caught a bit of Dominic Cummings, and it was his comment on how, I can't remember which paper he referred to, but Blojo regards one of the newspapers as his boss.
That'll be the Times, I would imagine.
It was one I found it very funny.
Aye, no, that'd be the Times. That would be the one. Right, let's move on to the next paper. The Sun goes on. Fright young thing. Third of a under 30 still haven't had their jag. Well, there seems to be a theme here in the papers this morning. It's all about the under 30s not getting ejected. Right, the Herald goes on. Helpline flooded with calls amid vaccine record chaos. Problems getting vaccine certificates for those who got vaccinated by their GPs. So apparently, when we go to the mass vaccination centres, it's going straight onto the dedicated software for people getting their COVID vaccine and their testing regime. But if you're getting it done in your GP surgery, then it's up to the GP to load this information onto the mainframe, and it would appear that the GPs haven't been loading this information onto the mainframe. So some people are getting problems getting their vaccination certificate. Now, I don't like this term, Alexander. I'll come to you this in a minute. We've just spoke about vaccine passports. If a vaccine certificate is not a bloody vaccine passport, then what the bloody hell is it?
Well, I'm against the S passport as such, because all it is going to do is open the door for all the thieves to walk into family life and destroy it by stealing information.
You could possibly be right there, Alexander. It's not an angle I was thinking of it from, but you could possibly be right there. Right, time's up indeed. So let's move on. That was the Sun. The Herald goes on. No, that was the Herald. The Scotsman goes on. Pressure to relax isolation rules on as Scotland opens up. Now, I'm not aware of any pressure on anybody to drop the isolation rules. I know that the medical profession may need to run a different regime, a testing open up regime to keep medical professionals in the hospitals. But I don't think there's any pressure on the government to lift the isolation rules for the rest of us, unless there's a need in specific professions. But I would reckon that if you're in contact with somebody who's got COVID and it's got a 10 days gestation period, then it's right that you isolate for 10 days. What do you make it, Alexander?
Yeah, I totally agree. On Facebook, the past few weeks, there's been a lot in the Peterhead area. There was a busload went down to London to the football match. They came back. A couple of them had been diagnosed as having the disease, and Facebook was full. Oh, I'm not going to isolate. I'm not going to isolate. All they're doing is they're willing to kill their grannies.
Aye, it's a fair point, Alexander, actually. It is a fair point. And the First Minister did ask them not to bloody well travel. But that's the way it goes. Now, the Looney Rag, the Express goes on. Migrant crisis. Patel pays French 54 million to do their jobs. So apparently, the UK government's had to kick in an extra 54 million into the Joint Task Force, which operates either side of the channel, to try and prevent asylum seekers making it across the dangerous journey across the channel. So apparently the French just didn't have enough staff to staff the coastline, because it's a big coastline, let's face it. and they already share the cost of border controls at either side of the channel. So Patel has put in an extra 54 billion so that they can modernise the operation with drones and things like that to watch the coastline. Because let's face it, it's a big winter coastline. Now, the only paper, the Express, is again the French are kicking, but the people have to understand that actually it's a joint deal. They've already signed up a joint deal to try and stop them from making their way across the channel, because let's face it, it's bloody dangerous.
It's just a pittance they're paying for the money that they're making off selling bombs to countries. It's dropping them on these refugees, etc.
Aye, exactly. The reason why these people are fleeing is either because of the climate crisis we've bloody well created, or wars that we've created. That's a damn good point, Alexander.
And I'll make this point as strong as I can. The next time I see a kid being carried out the water, I will flip my lid at the bastards.
Aye, I can understand your emotion there. I'm like that myself, sir. Right, the time goes on. Migrants crossing into Britain hits new record. There's been 8,000 so far this year, and 1,000 in this month so far. And Davey says, bring them ashore, find them somewhere safe to be, get them fed, get them water, get them medical treatment, and make sure that they're self-secure, and ensure that they get a chance to apply for asylum. You know, not this carry on about rounding them up, putting them on boats and taking them to offshore storage places and things like that until they're processed. This is just right out of hand. And this takes us back to that xenophobic nationalities and border bill we were talking about, Alexander, you know?
Yeah.
Right, the National goes on. England's developed herd immunity to PM's lethal strain of Tory policies. Now, what the National's actually saying there is that basically the English people are numb to what's going on down that road with these lethal Tories who are killing UK citizens at a rapid rate of knots. By my calculations, in 11 years of power, the Tories have managed to kill 330,000 UK citizens through austerity and, of course, COVID. So what do you reckon? You reckon that they're just went numb down there? Do you think that it's the press that's brainwashed them, or what, Alexander?
No disrespect to them, but everybody south of the border seems to be they've had an injection to numb them all.
Aye, I think you're right there. And the other headline in the National is warning Tories plotting new assault on devolution. Now, I'll go a wee bit more into that. UK government to bypass Holyrood on community ownership funding. So apparently Scotland's due 12.5 million in community ownership money for communities to apply for buy up things in their communities that are lying empty and could be used for community use. The amount that should have went to the Scottish Government for this programme, because we already have community buyout programmes here in Scotland, is 12.5 million, but it would appear that the UK Government is going to bypass Holyrood again and administer it to councils direct. What do you make of that?
Well, the only people that's going to achieve anything for that is the Tory councils. It's going to be scrambling over the top of everybody to get to it.
It will definitely go to Tory areas, no doubt about it. It's a bit like a Bojo's Levelling Up Fund down that road. And what's going to happen is Tory areas will get richer, and the Labour areas, as I said, will get football pitches. Right, the Metro goes on. Games up for Beeb's Tokyo team, and that's the news that the BBC commentary team and Tokyo is in self-isolation. So they've got 8.5 days before they're going to be able to commentate and they're there, unless there's the commentary you will be getting will be for their hotel rooms while they watch television.
Oh,
let's hope
there's anything to go on that they've had with the football and all the rest of it. It's one-way traffic.
It's madness, isn't it? Absolute madness. Right, and we're on the Star because let's face it, we're going to do a Star each day. Right, exclusive new royal book in full. Chapter 1. Me, 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 the end. And that's about Harry writing a book, a tell-all about his experience of being a royal. And he's writing it as a man and no as a prince. Never heard so much passion all your life. You're probably about as interested in that one, Alexander, as I am.
It's gone over the head.
Aye, right over the head. Right, well, thanks for joining me for the newspaper review, Alexander.
No problem. I hope I've been of help.
Ladies, hold on a wee second. Ladies, we want some ladies on this part of the show, please. But thanks for joining me.
I'm making your pants in a bra for you.
I've not been up your way for a while, so it's nice to hear the Doric. And I hope everybody enjoyed your accent because it's absolutely fantastic, Alexander. I love the Northeast. You know, I love it up there. So anyway, I'm going to have to wrap this up, Alexander. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for making
no problem. It's an absolute pleasure, sir.
And next time I'm in Peterhead, if I'm doing a broadcast for you up there, I'll give you a couple of minutes of warning. You can come round and join me.
No problem. We're getting a new Starbucks and a Costa Coffee allegedly, so I'll treat you to coffee.
That'd be bra. Right, here we go. This is the roundup sequence. So, usual stuff, folks. Support the independent media. Support Broadcasting Scotland. Support Independence Live, Indy Live Radio. Support Caldon Media. Support Cruise Radio. Support iScot Magazine. And support the national newspaper. It's not the best rag, but it's the only one I've got that supports independence. And if you've got a few quid and they've got a crowdfunder going, throw it in the pot, keep the independent media going. I don't want your money, don't need your money. If I need money, I'll climb in a truck. So you'll never get Davy putting up a fundraiser. The other thing is, folks, facts. Infection rates in Scotland are coming down. It's not going to last. The school holidays are about to start down that road, and the idiots are about to come, our cousins next door are about to come for a visit, and they're likely to be carrying a few infections with them. So observe. Facts. Face coverings in enclosed public spaces. Avoid large gatherings. Clean hands and surfaces regularly. 1 metre social distancing when you're out and about because the social distancing rules have changed. And get a test. All right. Catch you later, Alexander. Catch you tomorrow, folks.
Cheers, sir. And your numbers are still the same. No one's dropped off this time.
Oh, they haven't my screen, mate. I'm down to 158.
My phone stuck here 225 here.
Ah, well, that's better. Catch you later, mate. Bye.
Right, cheers now.